Hi there. Welcome to you. Thank you for joining the live chat session. I am on time today. Hopefully, we'll manage the timing. We'll ensure that live chats start at the given time. In coming days, too, there is some time difference in the new country where I am now, but I'll try to manage the timing so that viewers don't find it difficult to join the live chats. Four main topics in today's live chat. Let me just greet the participants a bit, then four important topics which I'll speak on for you. Bashe, first one who commented today. How are you, Bashe? He said, welcome, welcome, my dear Mr. Sajid. How are you, Bashe? Hivoth Empty says, evening. How are you, Hivoth? Andrew Sirau says, greetings. Dark Star joined too, never without a question. He says, why is the Ethiopian federal government not granting charter state status to disputed territories like the between Tigray and Amhara, far Somali? Charter state, charter state status. That can only be done if the dispute claimants agree. If the parties to the dispute are not agreeing to this sort of solution, how can the federal government impose the solution? It will be difficult, I think. Robel Marissa says, greetings, Sajid, happy to follow you live chat. Greeting, Robel, happy to have you here, the live chat. John Spencer joined too. Your master, my brother, how are you? You look fresh. How is your family and summer? Everything is fine, Yamaskan. I am on vacation. This is my vacation. On vacation too, I make videos, talk to you. I'm not in Pakistan these days. Emra Emba joined. Says, hi, Sajid. Average Dom says, looks like Ruto and his deputy are at war. Uh, I'll speak on the issue in Kenya from a new angle. I want to share my views with you a little later. Mulugata says, greetings. The rumor mills are overdrive over alleged presence of RB in Brussels for urgent medical treatment. I don't know. I don't have such information. YouTube Mikia says, hi Sajid, good to see you fresh and healthy. Thank you, YouTube. Stay blessed. Somal region news join as well. Now, four topics, viewers. Firstly, let's start from Kenya, viewers. Are we going to see Arab Spring in Arab Spring 2 in Africa? You know what Arab Spring is? I think it happened in 2010 or 11 when Hosni Mubarak was overthrown. What happened after that? Are there fears that the trend set by Kenyans could spread into other countries too? Because we're hearing about calls for similar protests in other African countries too. And Kenyan protests have not stopped, despite the law not being enforced. It was announced by the president yesterday. Still, protests happen today. Secondly, Djibouti Ethiopia relations. A senior delegation was sent to Djibouti today to attend Djibouti's Independence Day celebrations. Thirdly, viewers, Tigray, where an update for you. And lastly, Amhara. What is the solution now? Are Fano militias rejecting the new committee formed by the government? A committee consisting of neutral community elders. What is the solution now? What will happen? If Fani Ahmed is calling you Major General Fano Sajid, what happened? You said you enter Finfane in 48 hours. What? When did I say that? By the way, the country where I am in now, there is a restaurant or hotel, I think, by the name of Fano, Fano. I'll try to make a video or capture an image for you. I don't know what is the meaning of this word in local language here. Uh, Balate Admaso says, "Hey, can you leave talking about Ethiopia?" Well, it's very easy. Just leave the channel and you won't be able to hear me talk about Ethiopia. But I won't ban people from coming to my views and news. John Spencer says, "Yes, I remember the Tunisian man lit himself on fire and sparked it." Yeah, John Spencer. Elijah Kano joined too. How is the heat wave in Thailand? They say it's terrible in Pakistan. Watch out, brother. Well, the heat we face in Pakistan, I think, makes it immune to hot summers in some other Asian countries. And from where I am from Multan, southern Punjab. It is one of the hottest zones in Pakistan. Oh, temperature there was around 45 to 50 in recent days. Amba says, Sajid, Ethiopia has long ambition to reach Somalia coast, but never succeeded despite trying different methods. There was some time Somalia was weaker, but Ethiopia never succeeded. Jama, good evening, Sajid. Greeting from Minnesota. How are you, Jama? How is Minnesota? My life says, are you in Pattaya? No, I'm not in Pattaya. Pattaya, they call it. I'm alone. Genocidal state says Arab Spring started in Tunisia, Libya, Egypt, now Sudan. Maldini Paolo says, I think after long and several damages, the politicians will understand that ethnic politics nothing common with political science. At times, we may get peace and development. Suleiman Adam joined. John Doe says, what's new in Western Tigray? I don't know. Alim says, do you expect a struggle for power between the commanders when it comes to negotiation? I'll respond to it. Let me start with this. Firstly, Kenya. Yesterday, the president announced that the new controversial draft law will not come into force and he won't sign it, though parliament has approved it. The law about new taxation. But the protests did not stop. Again, on Thursday, thousands of people marched in Kenya. Today's protests were smaller, definitely smaller. Kira joined to welcome Kira. Kira is a member too. Special welcome to you, Kira. Matthios Alex joined as well. Elam is a member to welcome Elam. Elam, Kira, and Yamaskan, 3 members who have joined today so far. Special welcome to all 3 of you. If you want to be a member, click the link given in description section of this video. Ali Sheikh says you don't have the right and the privilege to propose or suggest any Ethiopian politics. Yet you can describe the situation in Ethiopia. Well, I just respond to questions. Shafo joined too. Welcome, Shafo. Fourth member joined to. Special welcomes for Shafo. So the protests were again held today. Smaller protests. More than 20 have been shot dead by police. Military has also been recalled by the Kenyan government. People being arrested in Kenya. The movement, which was just against a law, has the potential to turn into a huge anti-government movement. If protests continue, if opposition and some elements in government start backing the protests, Ruto could be in trouble. He seems to be in trouble. I think next 2 days are crucial. If the protests continue, it means that the protest would be with new demands, tougher demands. World is facing economic challenges in almost every country, people are facing economic challenges. It's due to recession, it's due to wars, it's due to natural disasters, it's due to some policies, but economic challenges are being faced in, you can say, across the world. People disgruntled, food prices gone up across the world. Kenyans definitely affected as well. They have realized that they have the power to force government to change its decisions. Will they continue protests? I said, if you remember, yesterday that we'll have to wait and see if the protests will stop or continue. Today, there were protests. Police again resorted to tear gas, shelling, and aerial firing. But we'll see what happens tomorrow. Now, the real fear for the region is that opposition activists are planning similar movements in other African countries too. Uganda, where social media campaign is underway for 23rd of July, that next month major protests will be held against Yoweri Museveni, long-time ruler whose rival Bobby Wine always says that he's dictator. Elections held in Uganda are never transparent, and Bobby last time complained that he was not allowed to operate independently and freely. His supporters harassed, and the election was not fair. In other countries too, there could be similar calls about us. In Ghana too, we heard about planning. Now, Kenyan government tolerated, I would say. They tolerated these protests. That is why protests got bigger. Yoweri Museveni or Isaias Afwerki or Abiy won't let such protests be held on the territories. That's what I believe. They won't let it happen in their countries. They will launch brutal crackdowns in their countries. Kenyans paid the price too, 20 killed, dozens arrested, but we cannot say that Kenyan crackdown was brutal. We cannot say that. People died definitely in such situations when tens of thousands of people take to the streets. People die even in small, limited use of force too. Sometimes people die. We cannot say that Kenya resorted to brutal crackdown, but this brutal crackdown could be launched in other countries. Let's see. Are we seeing the start of Arab Spring too in Africa? Because the Arab Spring one it happened in Africa and Middle East. Two zones were affected. This time only Africa. Let's see. Kenyan protests could lead to start of similar movements in other African countries with possible bloodshed and brutal crackdowns by government. Let's see. Second, was Ethiopia sent a high-level delegation to Djibouti today. Djibouti celebrated its Independence Day today. Senior delegation was sent by Ethiopia to attend the Djibouti's Independence Day celebrations. Adam Farah, the deputy chairman of Prosperity Party, led the delegation. Berhano Jula was there too, Ethiopian military chief. Then Shimalis Abdisa, the Oromia regional president, was also seen. It shows how powerful the delegation was, which attended Djibouti's Independence Day celebrations held today. So Ethiopia does not want to cut off ties with Djibouti. In the last few days we have seen some progress towards normalization of Ethiopia Djibouti relations. There was coldness between them. Why? Because when Ethiopia signed MOU with Somaliland, after that, Ethiopia Djibouti relations went through a bad patch. Djibouti accused Ethiopian state institutions of figure fudging, of using wrong statistics to blame Djibouti. Uh, Ethiopian state media accused Djibouti of minting money through port fees from Ethiopia. There were issues, and Djibouti's minister issued statement, and he shared figures in terms of how much Djibouti was charging Ethiopian businessmen for using the port. And Ismail Umar sent a special message to PM Abiy around 2 weeks ago. PM Abiy then sent a senior delegation led by the foreign minister at Selassie to Djibouti, and now another senior delegation sent to Djibouti by Ethiopian government to attend Djibouti's Independence Day celebration, showing Ethiopia saying that yes, we don't want to cut off ties with you. We need full access to a port, full rights there. We want a lease agreement. Secondly, even if we get a lease agreement from a country, it does not mean that we'll divert all our cargo from your country. We want to use more than one ports. We don't want to rely on one port only because it's not good for our economy. If anything happens, the port will be in trouble. So that's why we want to diversify our use of ports. But it does not mean that we want to hurt you. We will be your friend. We are your friends, and we'll continue using your ports. You can offer us a better deal too. So things seem to be improving a little between Ethiopia and Djibouti. What happened in the background, we don't know. But relations seem to be improving, it seems. Thirdly, viewers, Tigray, where Supreme Court chairman and deputy chairman have decided to withdraw their resignations. They resigned this week. I did a video on that. I told you that they resigned because of troubling atmosphere. The words they used, troubling atmosphere in Tigray. Obviously, it was a charge sheet against Tigray government. That Tigray government did not provide the working environment, the freedom to work, and the back into judiciary. Tigray government was quick to respond. It talked to the Supreme Court chairman and deputy chairman, and the government managed to convince them that they should not resign. The two have withdrawn their resignation. They'll continue the work. Good to hear that, by the way. Judiciary, one day, judiciary will have to assert itself in Ethiopia. I don't know when that day will come, but without a strong judiciary, people's rights cannot be protected because governments always use force. Governments in developing countries, even in developed countries too, in underdeveloped countries, obviously, they always use force. Where do people get relief from? Courts. If courts don't give relief to people, even in developed countries, a government would become dictatorial governments. Courts are the last remedy for people who are in trouble. Courts keep a check on executive. But you know how Ethiopian courts are working. If a Hamasyan is asking about Pakistan, Pakistan is not good as well. Here, a movement was launched by judiciary, by a Supreme Court Chief Justice years ago, and we saw some change. But I always say in Pakistan, there is one institution in power, and that is military. Military is above law in Pakistan. It has its way, whether in courts, in government, it is the main power in Pakistan. So that is what Pakistan is. In other countries, things are different. So that is why I always say there is no democracy in Pakistan. It's a controlled system which is being sold as democracy. So uh, let's see. But it's good to hear that Tigray's Supreme Court chief and deputy have agreed to resume their work. Lastly, there was an important news story. Fano, 15-member committee formed. I told you a few hours ago. After 2-day peace conference in Bahirdar, a 15-member committee of community elders has been formed to facilitate dialogue between Fano and government. Fano military, rather. Some people like Jawar are trying to differentiate between military and government as if military is operating independently, separate. No, military and government are the same. Fano uh, groups so far have remained silent. Just one group spoke so far, and that is Gojam Fano, about the call for dialogue between Fano and military. And Gojam Fano, as expected, rejected the proposal of talks. Marcia Sehai, Gojam Fano spokesperson, addressed questions about the new committee formed after Bahirdar Peace Summit. So Fano is not showing any flexibility. Government is backing the committee. Question is what will happen next? Do Fano commanders really believe they have real chance of reaching Addis Ababa, overthrowing the government? Or are they mistaken? Or do they have their interests in the continuation of this conflict? And or are they really convinced that with this government no talks can happen? These are very important questions. Ethiopian government did not extend state of emergency. Some people have been released too in the past few days. Activists, journalists, artists, some have been released who are arrested in the state of emergency. The government uh, is forming a committee. It has formed a committee to. The committee is starting its work. Roman Mosisa is appreciating my outfit. Thank you, Roman Mosisa. So government has taken some CBMs, we call them confidence building measures, to pave the way, to prepare the ground for start of dialogue. Though still a lot needs to be done, because in terms of military operations so far, I don't think there is big change in Amhara region. Though both are to blame for that, because Fano has not curtailed its attacks to military, obviously responding, launching attacks in the same manner. If Fano groups don't show any flexibility, what is the way forward? People like Gedu and Gaichu, Yelkal are calling for the establishment of a transitional government in Amhara region. Even that idea of transitional government is being rejected by Fano groups. They say, no, we're not talking about Amhara region, we're talking about federal level. And who is Gaidu to represent Fano? So, D. Tishome says, hi Sajid, I am celebrating my year. First year, you wrote LNW. My year since I started following you, you have been great as always. Keep it up, my friend. Thank you, D. Tishome. So it seems that Fano commanders are convinced that this government is anti-Amhara. It is Oromo elites government. There is no point in talking to it. Government is getting weak. That is why this conflict, armed conflict, should go on, firstly. And secondly, these Fano commanders have gained new prominence, new importance now. Money, fighters, vehicles, media, interviews, diaspora, journalists, people supporting them, weapons, logistics. These groups are turning into big groups now. Why would these Fano commanders relinquish the power which they are enjoying? This is what should have been thought by the government in last year. Government should have realized that if Fano groups start getting bigger, it would be difficult to control them. They did not. They let Fano grow big into more groups, larger groups. Now these commanders have their vested interest. I mean, no one knew Colonel Fantahon a year ago. No one knew him, and no one. And a year ago, Mere Bodajo was seen sitting at the feet of E&EF generals in Kobe, if you remember. Did a video on that. Zameen Akasi was in prison. Skandar was nowhere, insignificant. Ascad McConnell, no one knew about him. Others too, Gondar Fano too. This conflict in Amhara has given new power to Fano commanders. Would they like to lose this power? It's difficult. It is difficult to convince them to lose this power through dialogue. There are different reasons behind Fano's dismissal of the idea of talks. There must be some internal comprehensive discussion in Amhara region, not just among Fano groups. Because Fano groups are nothing without support from people. If today people of Amhara stop supporting Fano, Fano would collapse. The groups cannot survive. So I personally think that the government should give an opportunity to the people of Amhara region and Fano groups all to talk and come on one agenda. And then talks should start. Otherwise, if these different groups, people are not allowed to gather and exchange views and form a common agenda, then few groups and commanders would just speak and they would reject dialogue. And there could be personal reason for rejecting dialogue. I think dialogue within Fano and dialogue between Fano groups and pro-Fano public, pro-Fano diaspora should be encouraged by the government. It won't weaken the government. Rather, the internal dialogue in Fano will make Fano groups and people understand what they want, what they should present in talks with the government. So I personally believe that atmosphere for dialogue between Fano groups and people in Amhara should be encouraged. It should be created. Otherwise, so far, what we're seeing is that Fano groups are categorically rejecting dialogue with Ethiopian government. It means that conflict is set to go on. It means that people will continue suffering, no change in the region in coming days, weeks, or even months. Be better says, Sajid, you think PP will accept transition government in Amhara? Your screen name is Be Better. I would say Be Better. Even a layman can say that it won't happen. Liberty Media says Fano will come to the table after they have suffered enough losses, casualties. The government needs to ramp up pressure on Fano just as they did on Tigray, but 50% more because there are more Fano members than Tigrayans. No, I think government has been this putting this pressure since last year. How many Fano groups were last year? How many Fano fighters were there last year? Government has used different tactics. Tactics are not working. Military tactics are not working. They're not producing desired results. Just use of military tactics is not enough for that's the government is now considering a multi uh, a policy with political, military, and diplomatic angles. University Abraha, how are you, Sajid, with your family? I miss live chat every day. I am busy somewhere. I miss you, University Abraha. How are you? I'm fine. Sadiel Asmare joined, says hello. How are you, Sadiel? Agonafir says it's arrogance to think Amhara people's issues are regional issues. They're not regional issues. Yes, you're right. It's about Ethiopia. It's about what type of government should be in Addis Ababa. These are not regional issues. Just like Ola's issues are not regional. If you remember, when Ola and government talked in Tanzania, Ola talked about Addis Ababa. Addis Ababa is not a regional issue. Ola talked about language, national language. Ola talked about release of prisoners. Other issues too, which were raised by Ola, were not just regional issues. You too, Mikia says, Sajid, how do you see Ethiopia will be next year? What could happen? Honestly, I don't know because you know that no one expected Pretoria in 2022 it happened. No one expected in 2022 that in 2024 government would be trying to talk to foreign fighters and foreign fighters would be rejecting dialogue, that entire Amhara would be just destabilized. Things happen very fast in Ethiopia, and it's mainly due to wrong decisions by leaders that Ethiopia will suffer. Leaders have not matured into responsible leaders. They make wrong decisions, then they don't make corrections. I said, if you remember, that disbandment of Amhara Special Force was a wrong decision. The day it happened, if you remember, I said, wrong decision. Ethiopian government is shooting in its feet. Team Abiy is making a wrong decision, it will backfire. And you saw that. That gave new life to Fano fighters. War in Tigray, another story, how it started, but leaders responsible on both sides. Kira says, okay, last question, then I'll end live chat. Sajid, what is the most likely scenario on the future of Fano struggle in the coming months? Coming month. We're talking about coming months. 2 months, let's say. 2 or 3 months coming likely scenario. No change. Fano won't reach Addis Ababa in 1, 2, or 3 months. It won't happen. You'll see the same situation. People suffering will be extended. More school will be closed. More hospital will be closed. More traffic disruptions. Less revenue generation. Uh, civilian casualties. Fano deaths too. Military deaths too. That is what will happen in the next few months. Fano will control even more territories. It will withdraw from some. No big change. A new state of emergency could be imposed anytime by the government. Government can again launch uh, new operations. No change. Basically, it's a stalemate. And you talk about dialogue when there is a stalemate. Government has realized, Ethiopian government, that it's a stalemate. Fano groups cannot be defeated fully, no matter how long the operation goes on. So it's better to talk to them. Maybe they'll come to the table and some solution will be found. For me, the most dangerous tactic which Fano groups could use is assassination. I am not saying that someone will be assassinated, but this is a very dangerous tactic they are using. They want to achieve quick results in short period of time. They are trying out different things. They are creating divisions in Prosperity Party. They are trying to make inroads into the Ethiopian National Defense Force. They are trying to enter Addis Ababa. Some of the tactics too. They are planning assassinations of high-profile Ethiopian figures too. We don't know what will happen tomorrow. Anything can happen. 40 minutes have passed. I think we should end this live chat session. It was good to be with you. Thank you for joining this wonderful live chat. You keep me going. Your comments keep me going. Thank you, University Abreha, for liking my clothes. I'll be back tomorrow, viewers. Some big news stories which I'm working on. Hopefully, in the morning, I'll make videos. Thank you for supporting me. You send information to me through my Gmail, sajrd672000. A viewer sent an article today, which I'll post on News Edits, hopefully tomorrow or day after tomorrow. This relationship with viewers is keeping my views on news alive. I was at an airport when a viewer shared from the US that he received information about meeting between Gaidu and Gachu and US ambassador. I had very limited access to internet, but the source was very reliable. Did a video on that, and you saw later it's confirmed. You make it possible. Otherwise, one man, Sajid, cannot cover entire Ethiopia, Eritrea, Somalia. You make it possible. Thank you for being part of this wonderful platform, My Views and News. Stay blessed. Bye bye.